Good morning, Matt. I love Dolphin fans that act like they've won like 7 titles in the last 8 years. And so their team wins 20-7 against a Patriot team that they completely stifled. A Belichick coach that came in 5 days prior to a game on the same coast because he can't solve the Dolphin puzzle. And 2-0 now is 4-0. But just the fact that, what do you think about a game that is never in doubt? Is that a good game, Matt?
If you're on the winning side of it, it's a really good game. If you're on the losing side of it, it's a tough day, especially if you spent an entire week at a place getting ready for the game.
Right.
No, look, I watched,
you got a lot of balls as a Dolphins fan to complain about anything.
You know what though? Every fan. I mean, you're right. By the way, you're right. But every fan base, it's incredible. Do you know how many people have emailed me already about their team or DM me about how they didn't play well? I've had Chiefs fans say to me, "Well, it's just Arizona. You scored 44 points. What do you want? You need 60." I mean, so look, with the Dolphins defense scored as many points as the Patriots offense.
Right.
They were great. The Dolphins defense was fantastic. I don't know what else you could possibly want from them. The offense moved the ball throughout the game. Look, there's some things you want to clean up. Sure. The offensive line gave up some sacks. Okay. Would you like to score more than 13 points offensively? Sure. Absolutely. Yes.
Would you like to be the Patriots? Would you like to be the Jets?
Right.
You
exactly.
can be that too also, right? You know what I'm saying?
You can certainly look. If you're the Dolphins, I think it's very easy to say played really well, won the game. Second half, you like the offense to be a little bit better. Okay, fine. But like that's a good problem to have rather than just, well, we looked like crap for 60 minutes. And so now you've got to go back to the drawing board. The Dolphins played really well in the first half. They played great in the first half. Second half, they played well enough. They held on. And as you said, and it's true, they were never in any trouble of losing that game. It never was a one-score game with the Patriots having the ball. They were excellent on defense.
Once you had the kill shot. The kill shot was that touchdown, that 47-yarder, that 4th and 7.
Yep.
Which was a great call by the coach, a heck of a throw by Tua, and obviously a great play by Waddle. And that was the game right there, dude. The game was over after that. It was never in doubt after that. So you didn't really have to do too much.
No, it really wasn't. I mean, look, I give McDaniel credit. On 4th and 7 at that point, I actually was wondering, will they just punt the ball because then New England's not going to score? And if you give them the ball here, then maybe they get a field goal out of it. I give them credit. I give him credit for going for it. I thought it was the best throw of the day for Tua, not only because of its result, but I just thought he fit the ball in there. Like, I went back and watched every snap last night because obviously I knew I was going to be doing this show.
By the way, he looked that safety to the left and moved him just a second, a millisecond. And that's how he got that strike right into Waddle. If he doesn't look off the safety has the angle to get to that hole where he was hitting Waddle. So I don't know if a lot of people saw that, but Tua did manipulate that coverage also at the same time. So it's not just the throw, but if you look at it before the throw, that was really key, him moving and keeping the safety to the left side.
He did a very nice job. Look, I thought throughout the game, 2 things really stood out to me with the Dolphins. One, well, offensively. One was Tua, which is his calling card, was very, very accurate in the game. Very accurate. Like at all points, I can count on one hand how many throws you'd say, well, you'd like that throw to be better. I know the first throw of the game, everybody got on him on Twitter. That was because of a high snap, and they were totally out of rhythm the second that play started. He was very accurate. The second thing I really liked actually had nothing to do with him. I liked it at the snap. They had a ton of motion all game long, which is something you see in San Francisco. So I'm not shocked that Mike McDaniel does that. But there are still coaches in the league who barely use motion. And I always think if you can make a defender think for a half second, if you've got to move an alignment, you're already ahead of the ball game. And I thought the Dolphins, with all their speed especially, you should always have guys in motion. Give Tyreek Hill a head start. Give Jalen Waddle a head start. They did a lot of that. I thought it was really advantageous for them. I'd like to see them continue to do it, and I'm sure they will with McDaniel's offense.
Yeah. With Tua, I thought he played a solid game. It wasn't anything great. Yeah. He does have to get some of the brain farts out where he still has this tendency of not letting the play go. When it's dead, he's still trying to make a play, and he's got to watch out with that because it's going to turn into a turnover or two, which that happened to him last year. And he got injured in Alabama the same way. Saban would talk about that too, that he'd hang on to plays a little too long. And dude, when you're not a big quarterback, you also shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. You need to throw it away or just take the damn sack and live for the next play, man. That's the one thing I will say. But by the way, going back to motion, one of the things Hank Stram, back in the day, Sid Gilman with the Chargers, and Landry with the Cowboys. Yes. And back in the day, you remember how the Cowboy line used to stand up and go back down again? You remember that?
Yep.
And the reason why they used to do that and go back down is because when they did that and they stood up, they covered the backfield.
Right.
And at that moment, they would move the backfield around. And then when they came back down, the defense would then have to readjust quickly and the ball would be snapped. So you might get them off balance and out of position in one of those ways. That's why Gilman, that's why your guy, Hank Stram, and that's why Landry, they're the ones that started all that shit from back in the day of understanding that the more movement we have, the more chances we have of creating mismatches and getting the defense off balance. So this started so many decades ago with certain coaches back in the day. And it's crazy that, like you just said, to this day, still some of them haven't picked up on that kind of stuff.
No. And I was shocked on Thursday night, the first game of the year, that McVay, they barely used any motion. They barely did it at all, which especially out of him was really surprising. But, you do see that occasionally. The other thing people don't realize, or at least a lot of people don't realize, when you go in motion, you are helping your quarterback immensely figure out what the defense is pre-snap. Because if a guy goes across the formation and a guy goes with him, a corner goes with him, it's man coverage.
Yep.
If he doesn't go with him and they just start shifting and guys are moving in and out, then it's zone. I'm always amazed, like, especially with a guy like Tua, who, listen, how many games has he started in his career? Basically a season's worth. Like, if I'm them, I want to make it as easy for him as possible. I mean, I want to do that no matter who my quarterback is, but I really want to do it for a young guy. Let him see the defense. Is it man? Is it zone? How do they adjust? What do they do? And then maybe if you run the same play later in the game, do they give you the same look? Look, I agree with your assessment too. I thought he was fine. He was accurate. There were times where the Dolphins' offensive line was an issue, where guys got home.
Well, their tackles, yeah, bro. They had their guards moving out to tackles. They had their left tackle get injured. The right tackle got injured. I mean, the swing tackle got injured for a moment. I mean, it was just crazy.
The offensive line was a problem, and that's something against Baltimore they got to straighten out, because Baltimore will try every single way to hit him. Every single way. I mean, they don't have Wink Martindale anymore, but they're still the Ravens. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to come after you. They have guys up front who can do it. That is something where, if you're Miami, that needs to get straightened out. Because if it doesn't get straightened out, that's how all of a sudden you throw a pick. You're under duress. You're in third and long. I mean, if the Dolphins, with the way they play offense, they need to stay on schedule. Not as much as they used to, because now they have Hill and Waddle who can make plays after the catch. But they're not going to be a bombs away offense. And so if you can stay on schedule, you can really be dangerous. And that's where they got to really aim to be on Sunday against a Baltimore team that, if you get behind the sticks, they can really dial it up.
All right, let's talk about the real problems and the real struggles on offense with the Kansas City Chiefs minus Tyreek Hill now.
Yes.
I mean, that was just an absolute struggle on Sunday against the Cardinals, man. I mean, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Right.
Boy, that was rough sledding for them on Sunday.
The funny thing was, they yanked Mahomes like 10 minutes ago in the game. Like, they didn't even – could have gone for 406. They do whatever they wanted. They punted once. Smith-Schuster had 79 yards. Kelsey had over 100 yards. Edwards-Helaire had 2 receiving touchdowns. They spread the ball all over the place. You had 9 receivers with a catch, at least 1 catch. No, the Mahomes was great. They didn't get, he barely got pressured, despite the fact that the Cardinals blitzed over 50% of the time, which, by the way, how coordinators still blitz him is beyond me. It blows my mind. Like, you're better off rushing 1 guy and dropping 10.
Yeah.
Blitzing 5 guys.
That's what you do to those guys. That's what you're supposed to do to those guys, actually.
And the Cardinals just sat there and blitzed him all game. It was incredible.
Right.
And look, they paid for it.
It's
6
like
for 6 in the
blitzing
red zone.
Brady. It's like blitzing any of the great quarterbacks. You don't blitz those guys because that's stupid. You're now creating a mismatch for your side now by doing that. And you cannot do that. You need everybody possible. You gotta, that's how Brady lost against the Giants, because the Giants could beat them with the base. And that was the key for them, that they didn't have to send the extra pass rusher. They had 4 guys that could maul you, and then they had a 5th and a 6th guy come off the bench to just give them even more deeper rotation to get after Brady. And that's how they were successful against Brady those 2 times, because they had the D line that can get after him. That's how you beat the Mahomes and the Bradys and the Montanas of the world. You must get natural pressure from them. Once you start designing blitzes, you play it into their hands.
People get way too into like, well, I play cover 2. I play quarters. None of it matters. You either can get home with 4 or you cannot. Like, to me, on Thursday night, they play the Chargers, who have a great passer. They had 6 sacks against the Raiders. The Raiders line is terrible, but the point is still,
it is. It's really, really bad. Yes.
It's awful. It's maybe the worst line in football. That being said, I'll tell you right now, that Thursday night game is going to come down to one thing. If the Chargers can get home with 4 guys consistently, they can win the game. If they can't, I don't care if J.C. Jackson plays. If he doesn't play, they have no shot. If they can't get to him, they're losing. And the same's true the other way. The Chiefs are going to have to get to Herbert with their front 4. If you have to start blitzing those guys, you're dead. They will pick you apart, because let's face it, if you're blitzing, you're playing man behind it. And if you're playing man behind it, and a lot of times with one safety, these guys, they're too good. They're going to find somebody open. And then especially with those types of teams, you have a lot of speedy receivers. But yeah, I was shocked. I know the Cardinals advanced Joseph. They love to blitz anyway. I thought in this game they would rein that in a little bit. They didn't. They also kept trying to play Isaiah Simmons on Kelsey one-on-one, and that did not pan out.
Well, it looks like Kelsey might be headed for the greatest year a tight end is ever going to have. See, because that's one thing. When I looked at the stats, I was like, okay, is this a sign of things to come, that it's really Kelsey the one, and then all the receivers are going to kind of be complimentary, and obviously Andy's going to be smart using a lot of his running backs as receivers out of the backfield too, because they're playmakers. So I almost see like Kelsey having, like, my God, a career year in yardage, dude. Oh my God. Wow.
Well, they will isolate him anytime they can. And, the Chargers actually are the one team that's been able to slow him down somewhat with Derwin James. Last year, it was actually ironic. The second game they played in L.A., James played the game, but he left the game in like the middle of the third quarter. He got injured. And to that point, Kelsey had 1 catch. And after he left, he had 170 yards and a half of football. Like, it just immediately flipped. But, yeah, he's going to be the guy. Kelsey has an immense amount of rapport with Mahomes. But also, I just think with the Chiefs, they're going to spread you out. And whoever they feel is the best matchup, that's where the ball's going. Like, look, Tyreek Hill's amazing, and he was great for Miami in their Week 1 game, and he'll go well over 1,000 yards. He's a phenomenal talent. The Chiefs are not going to be able to replace him or replicate him. But what they are going to be able to do now is spread you out with 4 wide and go, okay, it's Kelsey, Hardman, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Guard all of them. Figure it out. Your 4th corner is going to be on one of them. So we're going to, Mahomes had the 2 worst throws of the day were 2 balls he missed Harden. They would have been touchdowns, deep balls. Harden was wide open. So that's going to be the challenge for teams now. It was always, how do you deal with Kelsey and Hill? Now it's, you don't have Hill, but you have 4 other guys who can all catch a pass and go for 20 yards. So how do you do it? What do you do? I think you're going to see a lot of teams play zone and just back up and hope they can hold them to a field goal.
All right. Answer this.
I have no answer for that. I can tell you, Paul Brown, when he was the coach, hated that thing, hated it. So he would not be thrilled if you were alive today. That
Modell retired it. It should have stayed retired. I mean, seriously, dude. I was just talking with Rap Sheet about this, that, Burger King had that creepy ass king a couple of years back. The Marlins, we had this minor league team in New Orleans called the Baby Cakes. and the
Okay.
logo for that was a creepy ass baby, bro. I mean,
It's
and
not good.
the real logo that they have walking around like a baby cake. Oh my God, that thing is super creepy. This, look at it. It's got pointy fingers. It looks evil. As I told Rap Sheet, this looks like an elf that would be charged with child molestation or something. I don't like this. This is weird. This is not. No.
My thing is, like, I get the Browns don't have a logo really other than their helmet because, like, for obvious reasons, they don't have a logo.
So the Steelers have 3 stars that we have and they don't even have enough money to put it on the other side of the helmet. So what? Who cares? It is what it is. It's cool.
I don't understand. Like, I understand that the logo was their logo in like the 50s. I get it. But yeah, that thing, that's the scariest thing about the Browns right now.
Yes.
That logo is going to keep some kids awake at night.
Yes.
But I am typically very pro paint the field. I love when teams paint the field.
Sure.
This might be a bridge too far. We might have jumped the shark a little bit with this this furious elf.
Yes. And by the way, what kind of, balance can you possibly have with those kind of shoes on a football field? I mean, it just,
It's not good.
yeah, it's not good. This is as evil and as weird as it gets what they did with that thing. One more thing. What did you think of Coach Nathaniel Hackett? But at least he came off the he didn't go down the path of, no, that's the decision we made. It's a good decision. You know how coaches sometimes just cannot admit when they're wrong. It looks like Hackett at least admitted that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I should have gone with the money player, not with a 64-yard field goal.
I don't understand it. Like, in real time, so I was sitting there watching the game with a buddy of mine, and when they got to 4th and 5, we just figured, like, okay, they'll call timeout, and then we started running through scenarios. Like, okay, what are they? Are they going to just try to throw a quick out? Are they going to do a slant? Whatever. And then we realized, why are they letting all this time run out? What are they doing? And we still, like, neither one of us ever considered at any point in time that they were going to kick a field goal until we saw McManus out there. Like, oh my God, this thing is from 64 yards. And the point that's been lost in all this, he missed it by a mile, but Seattle called timeout. So I thought for sure, my God, now they're going to yank him off the field. Nope.
Right.
Ran him out there again. And he, to his credit, made a much better kick and almost hit it. But
he's a hell of a kicker. I mean,
he's a very good kicker.
I don't even hold that against the poor guy.
Oh,
64
no way.
yards. Jesus Christ, dude. But
my
thing set him up for failure, basically.
You paid Russell Wilson $242 million. You traded away players. You traded away multiple 1st and 2nd round picks. It's 4th and 5 against a team with no corners. You couldn't pick up 5. Like, can you imagine if the Buccaneers said to Brady, "Hey, Tom, listen, why don't you sit this one out? Because we're looking at a 64-yarder here. We're good." Or if the Chiefs did that Mahomes or the Bills did Allen, like that was just, frankly, I thought almost like emasculating. Like, you're not going to let him go for 4th and 5 here in his old building with all these receivers you have and everything else. And look, that's the kind of game, like, people say, well, it's week 1. The NFL's only got 17 of these. Like, that could cost you a division. That could cost you a playoff spot. I mean, that
for sure.
That was an ugly game for Denver, and it was an awful decision.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was just an absolutely brutal decision, man. All right, so you got your Chiefs winning it on Thursday?
I think it's going to be a great game. I do by like a field goal. I think the spread's about right. If the game was in LA, I'd probably pick the Chargers. I think those two teams will split this year. I think that, I'll tell you what, truthfully, I think the injury of Keenan Allen is a huge deal. Because now if you're the Chiefs, you double Williams, and, like, I respect Eckler, but it's not like he's a receiver who's going to get 30 yards downfield. Like, I think Allen, I know McDuffie's out for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have some young depth, but pretty promising depth there. I think they'll be okay. Allen being out is like if Kelsey was out for Kansas City. It just changes the entire dynamic of the offense. After he went out, they only scored 7 points against the Raiders. So I think the Chiefs will win, but I do think it'll be very close. And if Bosa and Mack get home, it's all bets are off.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that's what you have to live with Keenan Allen. He's a great player, great talent, but he'll miss his share of games, dude. It's just one of those things. Unfortunately, he hasn't necessarily been the most durable player, throughout his career. He'll get dinged up, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Got to find a way to overcome in the NFL, man. That's
Right.
Hey, listen, the Chiefs started the season without Tyreek Hill, so they lost a huge piece that they've got to now adjust and overcome. Some guy, a buddy of mine goes to me, "Oh, well, I guess Mahomes will be fine." I said, "No, Andy Reid will be fine. He's been doing this with all kinds of quarterbacks. Even guys like Michael Vick and Alex Smith played their best ever under that guy. So it doesn't matter what running back you are, what receiver you are, what quarterback you are. You will play your best under that dude every single time, bro. It's just consistent. It's crazy."
He's got a long track record. I mean, he got a second round pick for Kevin Cobb. So
yeah,
that's all that needs to be said. But no, like I've likened it all off season too. They went from being a movie where they had like the two big stars on the silver screen and they have them on the marquee. Now it's more of an ensemble. They just have a lot of guys. They're going to spread you out. They're going to throw the ball all over the place. And I think what really got lost in Arizona again, they actually ran the ball fantastically, which is something they never do. Even with a great offensive line, they never run the ball particularly well. They don't try to. They did against Arizona. I'm curious to see if they'll try to do it against the Chargers as well.
All right. Well, tell them about Stacking the Box, my brother.
Always. Every Tuesday and Sundays. Sundays right before the games for an hour. Tuesdays at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Run it for an hour. We also have a ton of guys we interviewed throughout. We had Cam Akers on last week. Next week, we have Stephon Diggs coming on from the Bills. So there's just plenty of content there. Cover the whole league. And then on Fanside, check out the power rankings on Tuesday. Quarterback rankings came out today. Your guy Tua moved up a handful of spots. And on Thursday, we have the picks. So check it all out and follow me on Twitter. There's plenty to go around.
That's right. Follow my man, Matt Verderame, on Twitter. Get it done. And let me get this thing off the board before I don't know. That thing is ugly.
You're gonna lose viewership.
Yeah, no, I know. I probably any of the parents right now were probably hiding their kids during this segment. That's probably what
class action lawsuit.
Yeah. It's kind of like that AT&T commercial, and then they're covering everybody's eyes. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that's going on right now in households all over the place. Matt, much love, my brother. We'll catch up next week. Enjoy the football, my friend.
Take it easy, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Matt Verderame. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. We now step out of the...
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.